Holy crap, look at that fuck dinosaur. That's cool as shit, right? You're right, it is, my little up-and-coming school shooters. Bet you'd like to play on a map with that thing in it. Then you need to come on down to sunny, beautiful PL Extinction, home of the most beautiful dinosaur bones this side of the United States lost nuclear arsenal, and the only place that you can visit the biggest car that Frank Sinatra ever drunkenly masturbated in. Yeah, but good fucking luck getting anybody to actually vote for the fucking thing. Like, Christ, I tried for 4 days straight to find a server that is either running this map or has it in their rotation. I tried multiple times to vote it in, which failed, especially on Uncletopia, because Uncletopia players can only play 4 maps. Probably because they can't actually read and simply recognize the symbols that mean barn blitz, upward, and bad water. But you know what, that's fine. That's fine. I don't need Skyle, I don't need Uncletopia, I don't need any of these community players. I'll just use TF bots. I mean, honestly, what is really the difference between them and an average Team Fortress 2 player? Literally fucking nothing. What is that? I was just about to have to pathetically use bots to showcase something for gameplay. What is that? Is that... No, it could not be. Germans? That's right, when it seemed like no other server would. Uncletopia, Frankfurt, whichever one this is, stood where no men dared to tread, and they voted Extinction as the next map. And it was great, because Extinction is awesome. Extinction is one of the coolest custom maps I've ever played on. It's technically still in the running for possible inclusion in the upcoming summer update. So if you like what you see in this video, the workshop link is in the description and you can go vote on it and favorite it. But as far as the actual map goes, Payload Extinction is, and this may surprise you, a payload map. It's themed after a dinosaur excavation dig site, using many very common Team Fortress 2 design themes, sort of arid desert, old-timey industrial buildings, and naturally a Waffle House-themed hell factory, but with an added dinosaur-themed flair, which in my opinion makes the map seem really cool. It gives it some really distinct visual theming, and many of the areas where these dinosaur bones are placed are really well composited, thought out, whatever. I quite like the color palette. It's relatively saturated for a Team Fortress 2 map, but it looks really good. And between the saturation, the dinosaur props, the way that the geometry is composed, and in my opinion, the clashing between the water and the geysers and the otherwise arid desert environment make the map look really cool and really unique. It looks like other desert-themed maps, but it doesn't look exactly like other desert-themed maps, mostly because of just how vibrant all of the colors are, and the fact that the dinosaur bones take what would normally be just like a blocky piece of generic geometry and turn it into a little set piece that has a completely unique visual language, or something. I didn't do well in art, because art class was for pussies and I was too busy acing having a lot of girlfriends class to care. But Extinction doesn't just look nice, it also is very long, meaning that in a casual game, you actually get to, like, enjoy it, and the defense doesn't just get immediately steamrolled over. Because the map is also long, and because red team is allowed to re-establish themselves at various positions after they get killed off by blue, the map also rarely relies on hard choke points to be able to stall the attacking team, which is pretty much the entire Team Fortress 2 map design document. Make a choke point and force blue team to use Ubers to get through it. Dustbowl, Gold Rush, Barn Blitz, the last part of Upward. Between this and having the shittiest capture the flag maps on fucking Earth, choke points are pretty much the entire ethos of Team Fortress 2 map design, unless somebody with 7 brain cells decides to open up the Hammer editor and make something like Extinction. But is there anything really wrong with choke points? I mean, weren't the original Team Fortress 2 developers the smartest game designers that ever lived? Isn't that why they have a life-size statue of Robin Walker's penis on the front lawn of Valve? Well, yes, actually, there's a lot wrong with choke points. They're just boring, you can't do anything in them, and of course that's what makes them strong. Especially in a game with as much access to movement as Team Fortress 2 does, and as much AoE damage as it does. It is literally like shooting fish in a barrel when you could be playing Team Fortress 2 instead. Now, that isn't to say that Extinction has no choke points. After the second point, or I guess the first point, the first one that blue caps, there is a pretty relatively tough choke that blue has to get through. But one thing this map is really good at is that not only is it long, it's also very open. And as such, there's also a lot of ways to flank around the map. There's a lot of different ways to enter into any basic combat area for both teams. The openness is really good because you actually get to play the fucking game. I don't know if the Team Fortress 2 development team knew this when they were making the game originally, but Team Fortress 2 is really fun when you have large open spaces to be able to, use the source movement you have. And then they decided to design Hoodoo. And on top of the openness of the arenas, the openness of construction and the ability to enter into any location through a multitude of different flanks means that red team actually has to, do something. They have to actually think about how they want to defend. And it also forces blue team to keep an eye on their backs because there's a lot of ways to counterflank. Blue has a lot of options to attack with, and red, conversely, has a lot of options to defend with. Red is tasked with having to deal with more ways for blue team to enter the point, and in reverse, blue team has to keep an eye on their sides. It's really interesting, and personally, I find both attacking and defending on this map really fun, which is unlike a lot of payload maps or even CP maps, No, not that kind. Where it's really fun to play defense, and then really tedious and boring to play offense. Unless you completely roll the defenders, in which case it's not fun to play either. But Extinction doesn't stop there, it's a roller coaster ride of victories. Exactly like my uncle's divorce case, except for his wife. On top of having really cool construction, Extinction also just has really cool arenas. Here's a relatively uninteresting pet peeve of mine. I hate when people tote verticality as an inherently good thing in map design. Just cause stuff has a lot of things on the Z-axis, or the Y-axis if you're a fucking communist, doesn't mean that the map you've made is inherently good. Plenty of maps simply aren't that well endowed, and there's nothing wrong with not having that kind of a chest. Flat maps can be fantastic and beautiful like Upward, but Extinction does this incredibly well. There's lots of arenas that have overlapping different levels of heights, places that only certain classes can get up to easily, and certain dedicated routes that limit exactly what certain classes are capable of. Lots of different arenas have really interesting layers of heights, which are really important in shooters because whoever's higher up has an advantage, and that advantage isn't always exclusively in the red team's favor like it is on a lot of maps, such as Barn Blitz where the height is almost always in red's favor for any relevant point, like this choke point in this fucking barn or whatever this is, and this choke point in this other barn. Oftentimes, heights can crisscross over each other or be equal between the teams, meaning that you have like a fight on your hands. It's not just completely one-sided. Balanced with the fact that again there's not many choke points means that red team actually has to put in a modicum of effort to achieve victory. Now, the rumors that I have a fetish for tall girls are highly exaggerated and obviously an attempt by my political opponents to discredit me. There's a good number of health packs running around, meaning that you don't need to rely on having a medic on your team, which, in casual is not guaranteed, and also there's plenty of places to push people off the map if you're playing Pyro. There's even these big pools of lava that you can push people into as well. And on top of all of that, Extinction also has unique map mechanics. That's right, the map has mechanics, it's not just the weapons and the characters. Various places across Extinction have these little geysers. These geysers will boost you up into the air, allowing even the most immobile of classes to be able to access places they normally couldn't, or be able to play with this newfound mobility option. This is part of why this map is so incredibly dynamic. At various points in the map, both attackers and defenders could just fly around, could end up at places you don't expect them, or could jump over even like the same exact wall. This opens up how many vectors there are to attack and makes the map really fun in a casual setting. It's incredibly fun, and everyone likes it, and I can almost objectively prove that everyone likes it by pointing a gun at you and telling you to like it. But don't just take my word for it, listen to these satisfied customers. These are the people, these are the Germans I got to vote the map in. Immediately there was excitement and awe about the map. People were really excited about the dinosaur bones, they thought that was a cool aesthetic. As the match progressed, a lot of people also expressed that the map was really fun. And the LEGO Adventures, that is right, the official LEGO Adventures, posted a video of a replay they played on Extinction, and that very video is titled, and I quote, "Attack Pizza Delivery Drivers with Hatchets TF2 Replay Commentary." And as my granddad used to always say, if that doesn't seal the deal, well then you're just gonna have to deal the seal, fella. And there's just no two ways about it. Now, of course, while this map is really good, it's not perfect. It does have a lot of problematic sniper sightlines in my opinion. Not the worst ones ever. It's not like Upward where they can see over the curvature of the entire fucking planet and hit you from Asia. Or the shit on Pier where you can shoot somebody from underwater like a fish. But still, they are relatively bad. Now, that car crash may have taken most of my memory, but even I recognize some pretty rough sentry spots when I see them too. Though I have to say, these aren't really that much worse than any other map. And considering how open the map is, good sentry spots are a lot harder to come by, and also not nearly as strong as they are on chokier maps. Now, here's just some notes about how different characters play on this map. The openness of the arenas means that playing classes like Scout, Demoman, or Soldier, anybody with mobility, is a lot of fun, since you can actually, The open skies also means that these classes get a lot of opportunity to show off their skills with airshots. The length of the map also makes it so that engineers aren't nearly as annoying to play against. There's not as many ridiculous bunkers, and there's a lot of incentive for blue team to run an engineer, and there's a lot of opportunities for red engineers to set up if they get their nest wiped. The amount of flanks makes it so that spies have a lot of ways to get behind the enemy team, and you might think that the length and the openness of a lot of the areas makes it so that Pyro would get destroyed, but I think personally that if you stick to sort of these little off areas and you make good use of the geysers, and you stick to the flanks, you can do a lot of damage as Pyro. The only character I think might hypothetically have an issue on Extinction would be Heavy, mostly again because there's a lot of open spaces and because some sniper sightlines are really obnoxious. Now that being said, however, Heavy obviously benefits from the geysers better than any other class, so at least you do have that going for you. And also the fact that this map is relatively underplayed also means that nobody's good at it. Now I would like to tell you more about the intricate details of how the map plays, but it's kind of difficult. As you may have guessed from the first 3 minutes of the video, actually playing this map with human beings is really hard, because this is Team Fortress 2, and Team Fortress 2 players only want to play Dustbowl, because in their hearts they are Redditors and they can only have one joke. But yes, accurate testing was relatively difficult to obtain because nobody wanted to play the map, because people join community map servers unironically to play Barn Blitz. But yes, from what I have played, the map is fantastic. It looks great. It's really fun, and as far as a casually formatted payload map goes, it's really enjoyable. The next time you happen to see it on Uncletopia or wherever you might be playing on, go ahead and give it a nominate. Give it a try. From what I've experienced, it's a lot of fun. It's great. But yeah, that's it for me. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you all enjoy Extinction if you happen to get to play on it, and I will see you next time.